All right. Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me on archive. D-Style Boxing here and NBT Boxing is here. What's up, NBT?
Oh, it's good. D-Style. Oh, sorry. My bad. My bad. Lipinetza. How you doing?
there, you, there you
How
go.
you doing, D-Style?
For those watching archive, leave a comment. Tell us what you think. And don't forget to thumbs up that video if you're watching archive. For those on live, of course, thumbs it up as well. We'll be looking at the chat momentarily. Now, I wanted to bring this up really quick because let me open it with this. This is no topic in general. We're just going to start with this and we'll see where it goes, where the chat takes us and all that. But um, Jim Lampley, after Guillermo Rigondeaux lost his fight to Vasil Lomachenko, all right, good win for Lomachenko in my opinion. But that aside, Jim Lampley, if you remember how Salido got knocked out that same night.
Yep.
Right. So he kind of premised it with that. Jim Lampley did with his goofy glasses and his goofy suit and his dumb show. As you can tell, he loves the show, right? So he's talking in his goofy voice about how Rigondeaux had so much skill, but it's fighters like Orlando Salido that fans will remember forever, like for all eternity, and that fans don't appreciate fighters like Rigondeaux, and that's why no one will ever remember or regard Rigondeaux as a great. That's pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said, you know. But I guess my issue is, in my opinion, that's not even true. Like, there's no clear way that you could define what will make a fighter great. Some fighters are remembered for being defensive wizards, like a Pernell Whitaker. Some fighters are remembered for being in great brawls, like an Arturo Gatti. Some fighters are just remembered for just being great, period, like Muhammad Ali, because they were in great fights and stuff like that. But NBT Boxing, in your opinion, what makes, is there anything specific that makes a fighter great in boxing history?
As far as making them great, I always base it off resume. That's first and foremost. There's no way of being great without having a great resume, achieving great things. Moving up in weight classes, defining victories, etc., etc. But as far as being remembered, I mean, the primary example is obviously Floyd Mayweather, where he was actually an extremely exciting Floyd Mayweather when he was a pretty boy Floyd Mayweather. And what do you know? Wasn't known as much as he was during his Money Mayweather days. And that was when he was more defensive, moving up in weight classes, trying to adjust and whatnot. And a lot of people were calling him boring at that stage. And during that boring period, next thing you know, 4.6 million pay-per-view buys against Manny Pacquiao, 4.2 million pay-per-view buys against Conor McGregor, 2.5 million against Canelo, and just about 1 million fighting just about anyone, me or you. So, as far as being great's concerned, obviously achievements, the primary thing, it really is. Obviously marketing would definitely help if you can get your name out there so people can know you. But if you're going to be in a boxing debate, you're not going to really say, oh, it's because this guy has more Twitter followers than the other guy. It's this because this guy was selling more pay-per-view buys. That's all irrelevant if you're being successful in your, step-up fights, So, that's the primary reason. There's no really going around it at the end of the day. So,
Do you think Jim Lampley has any valid points as far as the guy that quote unquote took more risk in the ring and made more fan-friendly fights in Orlando Salido will be more remembered than Guillermo Rigondeaux? Do you think he has, whether it's fair or not aside, or your personal opinion aside, do you think he has a point there?
Yeah, I think he definitely has a point. I'm not going to lie about that because it doesn't work for me because I'm a hardcore boxing fan at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about the casual, market out there, I mean, all you need to know is Arturo Gatti's in the Hall of Fame at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I don't think he's got a real Hall of Fame resume and definitely doesn't have Hall of Fame victories in there. So, he does kind of have a point as far as being remembered is concerned, but it's like I said, just going back to how great you are, your style of fighting, I don't think will determine how great you are at the end of the day.
Yeah, I just don't think there's like this one universal way of becoming a great fighter, you know. And in my opinion, guys like Jim Lampley and just the boxing media in general try to lecture everybody on what makes a fighter big and great, how a fighter becomes a moneymaker, and this and the third. And I think we're really hitting a pinnacle in or an era that is where boxing fans are appreciating less and less the defensive skills of fighters. I mean, I'm having a hard time accepting the reality that a Pernell Whitaker would be beloved today. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if Whitaker would be appreciated today like he was in his day. You know, I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's the way I feel. I feel like defensive fighters and defensive-minded fighters, um, they're being, you know, blackballed, in my opinion, by the boxing media and the networks because of this whole, you know, you got to make fights exciting at all costs. And they're trying to tell people what constitutes exciting, in my opinion. But, you know, you bring the valid point of Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather wasn't known as Money Mayweather. He was not known as this action-packed fighter. He just wasn't. In fact, the type of entertainment people were looking for a Mayweather fight, I compared a lot to the thrill of a casino, you know, because a lot of people wanted to see Mayweather get knocked out. So they were basically essentially gambling on that, when they would buy the pay-per-view, when they would go to the live event, when they would go to the bar and watch it, they were banking on that. They were maybe not with cash, but with their emotions, betting on the fact that he's going to get knocked out. And whether they admit it or they don't, it brought a thrill to them. That's why they kept watching it over and over. Of course, just like with gambling, when you don't win, you know, of course you're mad because you didn't win. You know what I mean? But during the gambling process, there is a thrill there, and I think that aspect of boxing is missing. You know, Guillermo Rigondeaux on your resume is just bigger than a fighter of the caliber of Orlando Salido. It looks better on a fighter's resume, period. You know, so, but what do you think about that? Like, do you think that defensive fighters are, you know, being blackballed? I mean, am I going too far in saying that? And if so, what do you think?
No, definitely. I'll actually even go one further than you. I don't think Muhammad Ali would be as appreciated if he was fighting today than he would have, you know, than he was when he was fighting in the 70s.
Can you
So
imagine the rope a dope? All he did was lay in the ropes all day. That was fucking boring.
yeah, that's exactly right. You know, it wouldn't be recognized the way that we recognize it today. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's definitely getting watered down. Definitely blame a lot of the fans. And I guarantee you, if any of the fans had any attachment to these fighters that are so-called boring or defensive, they would have a completely different tune. You know what I mean? That's just the bottom line, you know. But, you know, it goes universally throughout all sports. I mean, you know, NBA has always been my secondary sport. And I feel like the same thing with the San Antonio Spurs when they won the 5 championships. They were heavily criticized for 2 or 3 of them for being too technical, you know, low scoring, you know, really passing the ball around a lot. You know, defensively, they were just very, very solid all over the place. And they would really limit their opponents from scoring a lot of points. And a lot of people would start to devalue their championships, you know, at least 2 or 3 of them. And, you know, later on, now obviously they became a little bit more exciting, a little bit more of a rapid pace, and they started to get a little bit more appreciated. So, look, it is there. I understand what Jim Lampley's saying, but ultimately, as far as, you know, what he's doing is literally shitting on Lomachenko. I mean, if you're saying that a better victory or, a better name on his resume is a loss comparing to a dominant win in a 6-round fight against a former, you know, 2-time gold medalist. Yeah, that guy is, as usual, he's always reaching into something that's, you know, always going to end up being contradictory to himself. So, you know, hands down, Guillermo Rigondeaux is a lot more of a valid win on, you know, Vasyl Lomachenko's resume, you know, than a close loss against Orlando Salido. Yeah.
I mean, let me give you an example. So, Canelo and his fan base. I mean, I consider myself a Canelo fan, but I'm not quite there like some of these fans, you know. But a lot of his fan base trashed the idea of a Lara fight because Lara's boring and nobody wants to watch Lara fight. And even the fight, they said he ran all night and stuff like that. Even though I don't know about you. Didn't Canelo implement kind of a similar game plan against Golovkin? But we could we can we can talk about that later. But nonetheless, I mean, Canelo talking about, do you guys really want to see that fight again? And he was even talking about he was mocking the school of Cuban boxing, saying, who wants to go to that school again? That's a boring school, right? That was right after the fight. That was when people were talking about him rematching him. But years down the line, when they were comparing resumes, he was quick to bring up Lara. He shoved that all over Gennady Golovkin's face. Like, you never fought a guy as difficult as a Lara. Or, like, he touted his resume all day when it came to the Lara victory. Like, So at the end of the day, people kind of know the importance of beating a difficult fighter. And I think defensive fighters are just necessary in boxing. I like the fact that there's different styles. But yeah, I mean, that's just how I feel about that. But here's the next point I wanted to make, and it's kind of it's the following. So Jim Lampley, it's very anecdotal, this comparison of Rigondeaux and Salido, and I honestly think it's very debatable. But let's say we give it to him, right? It just doesn't apply in every case. Not every fighter that went balls to the walls and threw defense out the window and just put pressure and just traded punches and just, every fight just, they went trade blow for blow and rock'em sock'em. And it's not true that all those fighters are revered and remembered and all that. That's just not true. Like does anybody really remember like Mike Alvarado?
Yep.
Like what? Does anybody remember? I forgot the kid's name, man, but he was calling himself Gotti 2.0, and now the dude's stuttering and you can't even understand anything he's saying. The name will come to me, but he used to fight in Friday Night Fights a lot. I mean, you have fighters that are stuttering and have dementia, and that fans don't revere and remember them. That's just not true. And it's not even true that if you're an action-packed fighter, quote unquote, that you sell out arenas. And if a fighter like Rigondeaux doesn't sell out an arena, they're quick to point out, right? They're quick. Oh, it's because the way he fights, or if it gets low ratings on HBO, it's quick. They blame it on the style, like right away. But fighters like Brandon Rios never got. Look at Brandon Rios. Wouldn't he be the definition of a action-packed fighter? Like, I don't know. I think he is, right? But I mean, first of all, look how short his career's been cut. I mean, it's not like people are appreciating that Garcia fight that's going to happen. Now, we all know what's going to happen there. I think he's going to get knocked out. But, I mean, he never sold out arenas, and he never got huge ratings on HBO or any of that. So it's just not true that if you're this action-packed fighter, just by definition, you're going to become a big star. I think it's a case-by-case basis with every fighter. It's like, to me, the more skilled you are and the more accomplished you are, like the less quote unquote exciting you gotta be. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but I honestly believe that, because if not that many guys are at your level, why are you going to fight at their level? Like, why are you going to get hit by them constantly? Why are you going to just trade with them for no apparent reason? That just makes no sense. What the media is pushing, and I know I'm being very vague when I say the media, but what they are pushing, the narrative of what fans, quote unquote, want to see in the ring, that's just not the way boxers are taught in the gym. Boxers are not taught to trade in the gym. Boxers are not taught to go, quote unquote, put on a show, right? They're taught how to keep their hands up, how to throw a jab, how to throw a hook, okay? Hit, not get hit. When you're in danger, hold a fighter, how to shove a fighter against the turnbuckle, all the little dirty tricks. And, that's how all boxers are taught, maybe different styles, but it just seems to me, that the way the sport of boxing and the way it's taught in the gym is just not what the media is putting as expectations from these fighters. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, absolutely. And it all comes down to, I mean, we can always play this challenge game where you can try to, explain to me or try to highlight guys that actually lasted in the sport of boxing that was quote unquote sluggers past the age of 35. And you can mention one, and I'll mention 5 on top of that. And we can keep going back and forth. I guarantee you, by the time you mention 1 and I mention 5, you end up running out of names to give me, because you know, people overlook that. You know, longevity is extremely important. You know, yeah, you can be a slugger, you can have some memorable fights, but how long are you going to be remembered for? 2 to 3 years. I mean, like, just going back to the prime example of Artur Gatti. I mean, even he knew that his style, you know, after the Mickey Ward trilogy, with all that beating that was taking place, with all that slugging that he had to endure with Mikey Ward, you know, he ended up turning to Buddy McDirt in his 30s to try to work on his defensive skills. And a lot of people were starting to speak about that, how, oh man, look at him, he's starting to be a bit more slicker, starting to be a little bit more you know, slick and whatnot. And you know, he actually turned to Buddy McDirt, and he actually didn't work for him, because obviously he was only used to that one style of boxing. So even he knew that brawling style was not going to work for him into his entire career. He couldn't endure all that punishment anymore. He felt it through the Mickey Ward scenario. And even going with Brandon Rios, I mean, he ended up leaving Robert Garcia recently to try to go with a different trainer. And now he had his comeback fight last year, somewhere halfway through the year. And what a lot of people were coming out and saying, wow, Brandon Rios finally has some head movement and whatnot. So even these quote unquote sluggers, these prime examples that we're talking about, like Gatti and Rios, they even know that the longevity is not going to be there if they keep up at that pace. But the difference is, once they're used to that style, it's really hard to learn a completely different style when you've been boxing since you were 9 years old, 10 years old, and then all of a sudden you're in your 30s, you know, just towards the end of your prime, you know, which is not there anymore because you've taken so much punishment. They're actually even acknowledging that that style's not going to work for them anymore. So they end up turning to, you know, other alternatives, different training methods, different trainers, and try to have a different style of fighting. And unfortunately, it's too late for them. So when you got guys like Elislandy Lara, Floyd Mayweather, you know, even Billy Joe Saunders and whatnot, you know, whoever, you know, all these slick guys, you always see them lasting a lot longer in the sport. Simple fact that, you know, defensively, you know, they're a lot more sound. They're not taking as much punishment, and they end up having longevity. So even though they might not be remembered for one particular fight on top of the brawler, you know, as far as their complete resume and complete career is concerned, you know, they can definitely be more remembered, you know, overall at the end of the day. And when they retire, they can actually spend their money, you know, which is very important. So, you know, it's definitely been watered down through the fence. Unfortunately, that's just the society we live in. Unfortunately, a lot of people are very ignorant, you know, to what they're what they're watching, to what they're experiencing, and you know, it becomes a trend. And once it becomes a trend, just people start to believe it. I mean, that's just the way it is, you know. People, you know, one person teaches you that this is the way it's supposed to be, and without even going back to the history of boxing, they start to adjust and think that's the way it is. I mean, a lot of people even say that, you know, just give an example. A lot of people believe that, you know, Willie Pep won around without landing a single punch, and that's not even true because there's no footage out there. You know, there's no, you know, and as far as I can remember, there was actually a guy doing a round by round analysis of the fight, and he was actually saying that he was actually landing some jabs after he was turning his opponent over, you know, over and over again. You know, so you got all these sort of things that just the trend just starts to, you know, go along the lines, and that's what we start to believe. You know, close rounds need to go to the champion and whatnot. So, you know, this, as soon as someone puts something out there like that, that's the trend they start to follow, man. And that's not the trend of boxing, man. The boxing trend is, like you mentioned, then it's hit and not get hit, and that's what you're supposed to be. That's fundamental 101, and you're supposed to work on that time by time with your speed, reflexes, you know, punching power, and you know, elevating your game and have more diversity. That's what's going to win you more fights in the overall, you know, department. So, yeah, it just is what it is, man.
Mr. Doc did ask, do you think blackballing of defensive fighters has more prominence in America? Let's see. I cannot speak for other countries. It's definitely an issue in America, but NBT Boxing, is defensive boxing like looked down upon in over there down under?
It's really hard for me to put out my thoughts on that? Because obviously, like our main boxers down here, I mean, you got, Kostya, Jeff Fennick, Victor Archinian, who, at the end of the day, I mean, all of them are aggressive fighters, but they're also technical aggressive fighters too. So, they're more of the perfect combination of hit but not get hit, but be very aggressive at the same time. And then you got someone like an Anthony Mundine, who's, generally, I mean, he did step up his offense in a lot of fights, but generally he's more of a Floyd Mayweather, poor man's version of a Floyd Mayweather down here. And he's the only guy in the history of the sport of boxing to have all his pro fights on pay-per-view. We're talking from his pro debut all the way to his 50th plus fight. So he's always, and he's been the biggest household name down here in Australia. And he's a very defensive fighter at the end of the day. But then we go into the same thing with the Floyd Mayweather scenario where he's, Anthony Mundine down here is actually a very big mouth, and a lot of people want to see him get his head knocked off. So that's probably why a lot of people actually tune in to, his pay-per-views on top of that. So it's hard for me to, put out my, my theory of, how it probably would go down here, because I actually can't really think of a, Ellis Landy Lara or a full Floyd Mayweather down here, a Money Mayweather. So it's hard for me, to really give my thoughts on that, really. Yeah.
An example I always think about is Maldrick Taylor, right? Maldrick Taylor was fastest hands I've ever seen. Terrific footwork, great combination, just an all-around, gold medalist, just an unbelievable boxer, right? But he had a tendency to start brawling it out, even when he didn't have to. Well, it didn't turn out so well for him, right? I mean, Maldrick Taylor, decided to basically brawl it out with Julio Cesar Chavez, and you could even argue that ended his career. He was never the same after that. Now, Maldrick Taylor still hasn't been inducted into a Hall of Fame, folks. They haven't rewarded him for that. What happened, Jim Lambley? I thought you were going to reward guys for going out there and showing the warrior spirit. Well, he ain't getting rewarded at all. In fact, he was still fighting, in Indian reservations when he was stuttering his words just a couple years ago. So this idea that, give me your blood, that I don't care if you stutter for the rest of your life. Give me your blood, your guts. Just go out there. Just brawl it out. Yeah. No, but you don't understand, right?
Yeah, you're right.
There's guys that never get rewarded for giving their bloods and guts. And all those people that, quote unquote, appreciate those fighters, they're not out there sending, Maldrick Taylor any checks. They're not paying his bills or his medical bills or anything like that. So if his money ran out, what has he got? He doesn't even have a Hall of Fame induction. Now, if Maldrick Taylor would have fought, I would say smarter and didn't brawl it out as much, he would have had more longevity in his career, and he would have had a Hall of Fame career out of his resume. In my opinion, I think he would have.
Oh, absolutely. Maldrick Taylor, you're talking about a guy that, got in the ring. I believe he fought Chavez twice, Terry Norris and all that sort of stuff. And, towards the late 90s, he was actually fighting guys. Yeah. Towards the late 90s, he was actually fighting guys with like a 3-20 record, and like that's just how, and then he ended up making a comeback, I believe, and fought like a couple of guys and lost them, or maybe lost one, or, to guys with losing records. I mean, that's where his career ended up. And another example of all that is Robert Guerrero, a beautiful boxer in the lower weight classes, He was, steps up in weight, and, we don't even have to turn to the fans to say that was the fans' fault. It was his freaking dad. You know what I mean? Like, his dad was actually the guy, that.
Is Caceres is he from Australia, or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, he is. He's a Greek descent from Australia. Yeah, okay. That's right. And look
at the boxing lesson. I mean, I hate to bring it up. Of course, I don't know if you're a big Caceres fan or not, but remember the boxing lesson Robert Guerrero gave Caceres?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that was a boxing,
and that was just
yeah. I don't know what
it
happened to that Guerrero. I think, maybe 147. His feet were just too heavy. Who knows?
I don't think so. His game plan was completely different. Like
Yeah.
you just need to turn to his father. I mean, look at the way his father was reacting post fight to the Floyd
Yeah,
Mayweather fight.
man.
Yeah, you ran like a chicken, Hopes.
Hey, yes, just go at him, man. Just hit him, man. Just hit him. Like
That's
okay.
what I mean.
He actually
Towards the
said
end of
that
the
in the
fight,
fight. Just hit him. Like okay.
exactly right. You know, he ran like a bitch, Holmes. Yeah, he was
He
screaming.
ran like a chicken. Like, bro, your
Yeah,
son just he didn't win a round. Like, what are you
that's what
celebrating?
I mean. Yeah. You know,
Uh,
even his own dad was trying to get him to be more of a slugger, and look how his career turned out, man. I'm telling you, Robert Guerrero, he could have been a Hall of Famer. I'm telling you, with the right
yeah,
training, the right mindset, sticking to the same routine, stepping up in weight class and not trying to knock out guys like he was trying to, in the lower weight classes, just the same way as Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather did. If he was able to do that at 147, man, he could have been a major player, a major player. And look at where his career has turned out to be. And there's an example of a guy that was actually very slick and a very technical boxer that just turned into a brawler. And sorry to say, you've ruined every single possibility of entering the Hall of Fame after the way he fought the 147 division. So, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Do you think Malder Taylor belongs in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, I mean, I'll probably have to give him a pass personally because, just these victories. And it's like you said, just the fact that, he turned into a brawler. He did, I believe I don't know why he just didn't get on his bike in the first Chavez senior fight, in the 12th round. Like, he was dominating that fight. You know what I mean? I don't know why he didn't get on the bike. Like, just having that name on your resume, I mean, that would have probably just sneaked him by. But unfortunately, man, I believe he's got like 7 or 8 losses, and some of them, I think he could have beaten and probably got in there, and some of them, he didn't. Like, I mean, even in, he was getting split decisions against guys, that, like I said, had damn near losing records.
Yeah.
There's no real highlighted win for me to say that he definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame, but it's like you mentioned, that's just the same thing with the Robert Guerrero, just the guy that I think could have been there, but unfortunately he just turned into a slugger. And it's sad. It's sad. I mean, even with the Guillermo Rigondeaux fight, which, look, I was actually being very critical of. The Guillermo Rigondeaux fight, when he had his opportunity to showcase himself on the Cotto Canelo fight, undercard. He was fighting
Right.
there. He was being, very, very, lackluster with his offense. Really trying to pick his spots very carefully against an opponent that doesn't really belong in there with him. And after that, he started to smash some jaws. So he started to even, fall into the trap of, trying to be a little bit more of a slugger, you know what I mean? And try to really let go of his hands. And he actually even acknowledged that post-fight. Guillermo Rigondeaux said that, I'm sorry, I'm rusty, and, it wasn't my best performance, but, I promise to the fans next time I'll come out and be a little bit more offensively heavy. So, even Guillermo Rigondeaux at that point, post the Cotto Canelo fight, when he was on the undercard there, even he was, falling into the trap of trying to be a little bit more offensively, aggressive, which I can understand in some sort of points, man, but, not when you're getting dropped to guys that you shouldn't be getting dropped against also, you need to be a lot more calculated, man. And it's just sad. It's just sad. We can't just know who the best of the best is anymore. We have to,
Right.
factor in how exciting the fight was. Like the same thing with the the Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua victories over Vladimir Klitschko. Sadly, Tyson Fury beat a year and a half younger Vladimir Klitschko, who was on top of his game.
No.
You know what I mean?
But NBT, you don't understand. It wasn't exciting.
That's exactly right, DStyle. That's exactly right. So even with that, comparison there, a lot of people are giving, Anthony Joshua a lot more praise and saying he should be the fighter of the year for giving us the fight of the year, which is 2 totally different categories. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
that's just the confusion that we've got, unfortunately. A lot of people that, want to give Anthony Joshua the fighter of the year for last year, they always turn to that that Vladimir Klitschko fight and saying that was a rememberable performance. It was a great victory, definitely the best victory on his resume. He showed a lot of diversity in that fight, but it wasn't the most dominant victory, to say that he's the fighter of the year, in my opinion. So a lot of boxing fans just confuse that. It's just back and forth, rock and sock'em. That determines how great a victory is, and sadly, that's not the case. That's not what boxing was brought into the game for.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, which is, I want to bring up the next thing, but one thing about Maldictator really quick before I move on. So I would agree 100% if, and here's the if, Arturo Gatti wasn't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I
you know what I'm saying?
I totally get that, D-Style, man. But at the end of the day, I'm sick of us fans turning to Arturo Gatti, say that this guy should
two wrongs don't make a right. I got you. You know what I mean? But
yeah, you know what I mean. Like I don't like that, man. I don't like saying, oh, this guy now. If Arturo Gatti can get in there, why can't this guy get in there? If freaking Rocky Balboa got in there, how can
I did a video about that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like
Well, Sylvester Stallone as a screenwriter got in, not Rocky. But I got you.
Yeah. Sorry, Rocky Balboa. My apologies. That's it's like you said, two wrongs don't make a right. But then all of a sudden, you open up the floodgates when you do something like that.
Right. You set a very bad precedent, which is the argument I was making when they inducted the guy. You know what I mean? I think it was an emotional decision. I think it was coincidentally right after he passed away. Like, you know what I mean? So. I'm not gonna lose sleep over the fact that a fighter makes a Hall of Fame when I don't agree with it, but I'll lose some naps. Not my main sleep, just some naps. I don't get my afternoon naps. Because of that. But I guess we have to start. Like, to me, and I think by the sounds of it, it sounds like you agree. Like, Hall of Fame should be the best of the best fighters. The best resumes, the best wins. That's what the Hall of Fame should be. But it seems to me like they've changed it. Like, it seems to me it's about who was more popular and who was more pop, and who had more of a quote unquote influence. And you even had fighters, not fighters. I'm sorry. You even had writers saying things like, "Hey guys, it's called the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Skill." And it's just, so they're playing semantics with the word now. And I don't know. You think they just ruined the Hall of Fame by putting Arturo Gatti in, or what?
I mean, they definitely ruined it if that's the tone that they're going to set. If that's the standard they're going to set for future, Hall of Fame inductees. Yes, they definitely ruined it. You know what I mean? Because it's like you said, like I say, two wrongs don't make a right. But then at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to be saying, how did Arturo Gatti get into the Hall of Fame and this guy didn't? So, they should just, acknowledge their mistake. Like you said, acknowledge their emotional, choice at that point, and try to set their standards a little bit more higher, for future inductees, So yes, it definitely did ruin it, because a lot of people are going to come out in the future and say, how did I not get in there, and how did this guy not get in there? But Arturo Gatti did. Right. But as long as they just acknowledge the mistake and try to set the bar where it's supposed to be, located at, then we shouldn't have an issue in the future,
Well, what about Eric Morales? Does Eric Morales deserve to be in the Hall of Fame first ballot?
First ballot?
Whoa. The answer is yes, by the way, but go ahead.
I think borderline first ballot, but definitely in the Hall of Fame. I think he's definitely Hall of Fame worthy.
So Arturo Gatti wins over Barrera, wins over Pacquiao, Junior Jones.
It's borderline. Like, I wouldn't be mad as far as the first ballot, But you have to understand also, guaranteed first ballot is when you're thinking, Roy Jones, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, and whatnot.
And Morales. I gotcha.
Yeah, a first ballot. That's when you say guaranteed. When I say borderline, it's just like at the right year of inductees.
Okay.
You can. So to me, Andre Ward's a borderline first ballot Hall of Fame, and the only reason why I say that is because his year of inductee includes the likes of Floyd Mayweather, Vladimir Klitschko, and Roy Jones Jr. So unfortunately, if you need to pick three of them, I think I'll probably say that Andre Ward, maybe, or Vladimir Klitschko are the two guys that are borderline going to make that, top 3 pick in that year.
Yeah,
So
they're not skipping Mayweather, but you know the great thing about that NBT is that Ward's not going to get inducted 5 years from now. So because he's going to come back, So
I made a great bet with you, man. So it doesn't bother me whatsoever because I either win $100 or I get to see my favorite fighter in the last decade make a comeback, and that only cost me $100. So I'm content, man. I made that bet calculated.
That's why you made that bet. You're like, I'm going to put myself in a win-win situation.
Exactly.
By the way, guys, I don't know if you guys know this, okay? But NBT is coming to us from the future. Right? Like you think it's the 6th of the month. No, it's the 7th. Oh, where NBT's doing it. Right, NBT?
I'm ahead of every single one of you guys. Everyone in the comment section, man. Who's ahead of me, man? It's Sunday, 7 o'clock in the morning right now. You guys ahead of me? I got time like that, man. So,
he's ahead of the curve. He's ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
I think you could fly from where you are to the U.S. and arrive at the same time. It's kind of insane, right?
Yeah. Probably be an hour or two off, maybe, but yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah. And I was actually going to get to that. You already answered the next question I had regarding Klitschko and is Roy Jones really retired though, or is he still fighting? What?
Apparently, he's having his last fight in February, I believe. He promised that would be his last fight. The funny thing is, he came out with a statement saying, "I don't care what fans say. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want." And then he said, "It's my last fight." So I don't know what's going on there, man. For my own selfish reasons, I definitely want to see Roy Jones Jr. Retire, actually, because I've been wanting him to retire for over a decade. But for my own selfish reasons, if Andre Ward stays retired, I would like Roy Jones Jr. to keep fighting, so that way Andre Ward can make the top 3 in that class. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, because February is a whole new year, right? So I don't know how that works. Will that be is it a rolling year? Is it as of April, or is it I don't know?
Not sure.
But I'm sure they'll get him, man. I mean, these Hall of Fame events bring in money and revenue, so they'll put Roy Jones in. I'll tell you what, if it's Roy Jones, Mayweather, Klitschko, and then the Ward or something like that, man, I'm going to New York, man. I'm gonna go see the Hall of Fame, without question.
That's a great lineup, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure. I mean, I don't know if it tops Tyson, Costasou, and Cesar Chavez. But it's close. I don't know if you remember that class.
Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't remember that?
Yeah.
Those are top of the line class, but this one's not too shabby itself. Vladimir Klitschko, Roy Jones Jr., Floyd Mayweather, and Andre Ward.
I don't know why I have a feeling they would leave Ward or Klitschko out of that for sure. Probably Ward, because I think they'll wonder if he's coming back or something. I don't know.
I wouldn't base it on his coming back. I mean, even me being an Andre Ward fan first, I would probably just squeeze in Vladimir Klitschko just the fraction above. Just because he stayed more active, he had more longevity in his career. Was dominant for 10.5 years straight. Just a few things that I think just tried. He didn't have the names that Andre Ward did, but I think Andre Ward, if he didn't take the 2.5 years off in his career and didn't retire at such a young age.
But NBT, you don't understand. He has David Haye.
David Haye and Povetkin, which, mind you, a lot of the performances that Andre Ward gets criticized for, people just forget about that Vladimir Klitschko versus Povetkin fight too. But we'll scratch that. So, but yeah, I think but according to Floyd Mayweather, I think Andre Ward should go in first because Vladimir Klitschko only fought one division. So when you fight one division, you can't be great. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Jim Lampley, I remember he gave a whole speech after a Klitschko fight talking about how, man, if only the Klitschkos were from Montana, or which is a state in the U.S., right? Man, they would be so big. What? Did he not watch half of Klitschko's fights? and he's all criticizing Rigondeaux. you know,
Yeah.
like, did he not watch the Ibrahimov fight? You remember that fight?
Uh, yeah. I mean, apart from the Chagayev fight, I mean, all of them can be up for criticism. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he would finish them though. In fairness,
yeah.
But it was like a mercy kill almost, like a.
Yeah. He really knew how to.
It's like most of his knockouts were like they just looked at they were tired of getting jabbed to death, so he just went down or something,
Yeah.
Now, with that said, NBT, let's go ahead and dive into something else really quick. Which fight do you want to see the most in 2018?
Oh man, it's like 51-49. There's only two in mind, obviously, but 51-49. I'm definitely going to go with AJ and Wilder. Obviously, with a very close second place for Thurman and Spence. No doubt. Those are definitely the two fights I really want to be able to see. And there's no excuse. Freaking, I know Keith Thurman's talking about 2019, saying he's got his his game plan set out there, talking about Jesse Vargas and rematching Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. That has to be out the window now because the WBC has just mandated that the winner of Brandon Rios and Danny Garcia to face Sean Porter in the final eliminator before they end up being mandatory. So now that's it, that's been mandated. There's no excuses, man. Let's get this thing, man. After Jesse Vargas, I think Thurman and Spence should be fighting next. Hopefully we can get both of them. That'll be fantastic.
That sounds, yeah, man. Thurman, Spence, I really want to see that fight, for sure. And Joshua Klitschko. I'm not Klitschko. What? Joshua Wilder. No, I hope Klitschko says retired. But you know what though? And I actually listened to your video before we started this one. Joseph Parker, Joshua ain't too shabby of a fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are exposing themselves out there. I think that's a very good fight. A lot of people need to go out there and try to promote that because if you want champions fighting champions,
it's two undefeated champions.
Yeah, man. If you want champions fighting champions, this is a unification at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's a champion versus champion. If people aren't promoting it, that just means that it's not their champion. That's the only concern. So, this is one step closer to unification. I'm going to hold Eddie Hearn to his word and assume that, summer 2018, if AJ is to be successful against Joseph Parker, that ends up being the next fight, and if or when that happens, my gosh, man, I just don't know how you can hate on the guy like Anthony Joshua. I really, really don't. I mean, for a guy to be in the sport for about 4 years, and to shoot for the opportunity to be undisputed, the first heavyweight undisputed champion with the 4 recognized belts. I mean, it's very hard to hate on the man after that, So,
but
hopefully that's the perfect picture that for 2018.
A lot of people don't realize this, but Joshua, and this is just a side note, no real point to this. It's something I thought about here, but Joshua and Wilder combined really have not fought that many rounds. But they have a lot of, they have a decent amount of fights, but a lot of them ended very early. Especially Wilder, he has a lot of 1 or 2 round knockouts. AJ hasn't ever gone a distance himself, and he's knocked out a lot of guys early as well. So this idea that we know for sure that Joshua could beat Parker, well, we don't have that much data yet. We haven't really seen them. I'm sure there's a Takam fight that went late into the fight, and the Klitschko fight in Joshua's case, and then you have the Stavern fight for Wilder, but we haven't seen that much of them, to be able to say without question that Parker stands no shot against either one of them. That's my opinion.
That's exactly the reason why I'm saying Joseph Parker's underrated, you know, is the fact that he's been 12 rounds with top, you know, top fighters in the weight class, you know, in Carlos Takam, in Andy Ruiz, in Yuri Fury. He's been 12 rounds with all of them, you know, and like I said, he came out of those fights unscathed, you know, with a learning experience. You know, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. So, you know, that's why I'm really saying that this is not a 9-1 underdog like the bookies have got it out there to be. I'm slightly favoring AJ, but Joseph Parker is not the food that people, you know.
9-1.
Yeah, he's 9-1, as high as 9-1. He's 8-1 down here in Australia. You know, I've seen 9-1 on the international sites. So, you know, he's a massive underdog, and I just don't see it personally, man. I think he's got a very good chance of, you know, shocking everyone and, you know, pulling out the victory. But in saying all that, that's the reason why I say that he's underrated. And the same thing that you said about Wilder and Joshua. You know, what's going to happen when, you know, the latest you've been is, you know, one time 11 rounds with Klitschko and 7 rounds with Dillian White and 6 rounds with Dominic Brazil. And what's going to happen when, you know, Wilder always, you know, bails himself out when he's behind on scorecards, you know, going 9 rounds with Spilker and, you know, Duhaupas 11 rounds. That's the most he's ever been. And, you know, and obviously going the distance with Stavern, you know. So happen when they're coming both into the same arena with, you know, limited rounds. Just don't be surprised if it's not this, you know, if it doesn't end in a knockout, because a lot of times you step in there and you go in there with an elite guy that's got the same power as you, or, you know, give and take. I mean, you know, that can work out to be a very technical fight. Both of the guys might be really tentative, and one of them might have a game plan, and, you know, to know that the other guy's going to be aggressive and looking for the knockout, and to start fighting off the back foot and trying to be a lot more technical. I mean, you know, just look at Ruslan Provodnikov versus Lucas Matisse. You know, we expected a war, and Lucas Matisse came out there, you know, with a beautiful back foot game and very great technical ability, and, you know, it was just a very sound win. You know, it didn't turn out to be the slugfest that we expected and a knockout victory like we expected. So, yeah.
Well, we all know Lipinitsa is going to be looking for a knockout against Mikey Garcia. What do you think about that fight?
You're going to kill me for this, man. 2018 is the year for the White Murderers, bro. I'm telling you, you're going to laugh at me about it. I don't care.
I'm plotting to kill you, but you're ahead of me, so you're probably already, man.
It's going to take, by the time you start to travel down here 16 hours, I'll still be 16 hours behind you, man. So just let you know. I'm telling you, man, I'm sensing a Lipinets come from behind. Like you mentioned, Medrick Taylor versus Chavez Sr. I'm sensing a Lipinets come from behind 12th round stoppage against Mikey Garcia. And I'm telling you, that's just the way I see the fight going. Look, head and shoulders, no dispute, Mikey Garcia is well above this guy as far as skills concerned, no doubt. But my only question is, Mikey Garcia obviously hasn't shown his punching power at 140 yet. You know, he definitely didn't show it against Adrian Bronner. Yes, maybe Adrian Bronner was a little bit negative and staying from a distance, and, you know, wasn't really willing to engage and trying to hold when he, you know, Mikey Garcia was getting in close. But at the end of the day, we still got that question mark where can he, you know, punching power carry that was displayed at the 126 to 135, you know, pound divisions. Can that carry into the 140 division? And even if it does, you know, 90%, Sergey Lipinets has shown a very good chin, a very, very good chin. And the most important reason why I believe that Lipinets has a very good chance of coming from behind is, like I said, he's got a chin, so he can absorb some punches from Mikey Garcia, and he goes heavy to the body. And I mean heavy to the body. Sergey Lipinets is, you know, just, you know, really, really, like, a lot of volume down there into the body department. And that's one thing that I can say that's the weakness of Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia obviously, you know, got hurt, I believe, in the 7th or 8th round against Adrian Bronner with the body punch. But Adrian Bronner's too stupid to recognize that, to jump on him around. So, you know, Adrian Bronner, you know, really hurt Mikey Garcia to the body in that punch. And the worst one is the Salido fight. You know, I just believe that Sergey Lipinets can get Mikey Garcia in the same scenario that Orlando Salido got Mikey Garcia in. But I think he can actually finish the job that Orlando Salido didn't. So I really see it going very similar to the Orlando Salido fight, but I think Sergey Lipinets has a very good chance of finishing off what Orlando Salido didn't, you know. So I'm going to call the biggest upset of the year. I'm going to go with Sergey Lipinets from a 10-round beating. He's going to cop a 10-round beating. I think he's going to come out strong in the 11th round. He's going to sense that Mikey Garcia's, you know, the body punches are going to start to accumulate. He's going to sense that, and he's going to go for the kill. And I think he's going to stop Mikey Garcia late. So it's only me and Mr. Doc in the entire YouTube world that's calling that. So,
bruh, save your money, bro. Don't bet on that fight, bro.
I'll see what the odds are, man.
Donate to a charity, like, you know what I mean. Like, do something like that. Like, don't throw away your money. Like, you know, like, well, why are you gonna flush your money down the toilet like that?
Man, look, I'm not being that stupid throughout the year. All I'm saying is Joseph Parker's going to beat Anthony Joshua. Lipinets is going to beat Mikey Garcia. Robotchenko is going to beat Kell Brook. You know, Jeff Horn's going to beat Terence Crawford. But apart from that, I'm not calling anything stupid. Apart from those 4 fights.
Gotcha.
You know, so,
well, look, yeah. Like, my thing is, I'm gonna be. I've seen Lipinets, and I'm not that impressed. You know.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not saying he's a terrible fighter. Don't get me wrong, but I think Mikey Garcia is just a higher caliber fighter, and I honestly think it's going to be a pretty easy fight for Mikey, to be honest.
Round by round, I totally agree with you, DStyle. There is no way that Lipinets can win this fight round by round as long as Mikey Garcia doesn't get hurt. I'm just banking on a scenario where he's going to get hurt. Right. As far as the skill department, yeah, Lipinets is not on that level against Mikey Garcia. So as long as Mikey Garcia isn't hurt, there is not a single minute of any round that Mikey Garcia should be losing against this guy. Yeah.
I think Robert Garcia is really good at game plans. Mikey Garcia gave Maidana a game plan that made the first Mayweather fight very competitive. Like, you know what I mean? So I think they know the strengths of Lipinets. They'll be ready for the body work and the body attack. Mikey Garcia grew up with El Gancho al Hígado. You know what I mean? He grew up with the idea of body punching, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised that he'll fight him in the pocket and he'll outbox him in the inside. And I think I think Lipinets is the one that's going to go down to the body, to be honest with you. Because you don't knock out a guy like Lipinets with headshots. You go to the body.
You know, I mean, that's the most likely outcome. I'm definitely, and I'll be very surprised with him, only because I've seen of Lipinets. I think he's just his chin. But yeah, you're definitely right. The body shots. I mean, a chin and a body is 2 completely different things. Yeah. So yeah, it is possible. I'll be very impressed if he ends up stopping him, even though I believe this is a cherry pick. It is a cherry pick. I mean, I don't care if you're going up in weight class and fighting another title holder. I think, you know, universally we can, you know, the majority of us anyway, we can agree that Robert Easter would have been a better fight. And I just really don't like this Mikey Garcia that's come out of retirement, man. I'm seeing a lot of behavior coming out of him. He's starting to get to that Canelo stage, in my opinion. And I just don't like the excuse that he gave for why he's not fighting Robert Easter Jr. He's saying he doesn't bring any money to the table, but I think Robert Easter Jr. is a bigger name than Sergey Lipinets.
You know, I mean, Lipinets, I mean, he brings the money. Like,
yeah, I mean, man.
We all know Lipinets is like, you know, it's breaking records, bro. Right?
I mean, he's universal. He's universal, no doubt. He's got fans in Taiwan and Ecuador and all that. So yeah, he definitely got some.
What's Lipinets' first name?
Sir something, man. I'm sorry, I forgot, man. He's a massive name though. He's a massive name.
Well, we're gonna call him Pounds Lipinets. Like, instead of money, pounds. You know, it brings the pounds, like money pounds.
Sergey Lipinets, yeah. See, that's the thing, though, man. That's why I don't like Mikey Garcia. I think he shot himself.
Sergey Pounds Lipinets. All right.
Yeah. What I was going to say, as far as him getting $3.5 million, rumored to get $3.5 million against Sergey Lipinets, the only reason why that's the case, and that's the only reason why Errol Spence is getting $3.5 million, and the only reason why Lamar Peterson is getting that Errol Spence fight, even though his purse hasn't been disclosed, but You know, but at the end of the day, I think he's going to be getting a lot of money for fighting Errol Spence. The only reason why those three guys are actually getting that sort of purse and that sort of, is the fact that they turned down the opportunity to fight Miguel Cotto. So I think Al Heyman is actually compensating them for turning down that fight against Miguel Cotto and signing that extended contract with Golden Boy by overpaying them in their next fight as a thank you, So I think Mikey Garcia was going to get that $3.5 million against anyone. So, yes, it looks pretty. It looks pretty going up 4 weight classes and getting another title. But now we're coming into the debatable stage where who's the worst 4-weight world champion? Is it Mikey Garcia or Adrian Bronner, So,
yeah.
It's
crazy to think that soon enough everybody's going to be a 4-weight champ. But I remember when Morales won his 4th division and they made a big deal about it, oh, no Mexican fighter's ever done this ever. They just made a biggest deal about it. But now everybody's doing it. It's like whatever now. So I don't want to go to a segment I just made up right now. The segment's called NBT Boxing. What do you not understand? Tell us some things you don't understand about boxing fans or boxing or whatever regarding boxing.
You want to give me an example?
Just, I don't know, shit you disagree with or shit that confuses you, shit you hate about boxing, just in general.
Shit I hate about boxing, obviously, is the freaking belts to start off with.
No, but NBT, you don't understand. You need belts for boxing.
Yeah, we can have one.
Singular, not plural, right? Just one title.
Yeah, we can. If we have one weight, or if we have one pair weight class, then we have multiple belts. So, yeah, we just need one pair weight class.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you know what I don't understand? DStyle doesn't understand why there's people that do not want to watch Joshua versus Wilder. I don't understand it.
But DStyle, you don't understand. Deontay Wilder, he throws his hands differently to other boxers. It's not fundamental. So that should not allow him to have the opportunity to fight someone like Anthony Joshua that actually throws his punches from his chin. So I hope that makes sense to you, DStyle.
Yeah, but what I don't understand, for real, is what does that have to do with just making a damn fight happen?
But DStyle, have you looked at AJ's Twitter followers? Have you looked at Deontay Wilder's? Have you seen how many likes he gets? I mean, this is just all common sense, DStyle. I don't understand what you don't understand.
Well, what else do you not understand, NBT?
But Deontay Wilder can't sell out Alabama. Carlos Takam and Dominic Brazil and Eric Molina doesn't sell out anything. I mean, that's besides the point because Deontay Wilder can't even sell out Alabama, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. There's HBO's putting up the money, Showtime's putting up. If it's about money, the money's there. It's not like we're lacking money here. But let's get the fight on, man. Let's make that fight happen. Now, that's of course. If I don't know how is this whole Joshua Parker thing? Is it already done? Is it in talks? Is it what?
Which fight?
Is it official, that fight? Parker versus Joshua?
Oh, it's about as good as official. I mean, there's no way of going around it. David Higgins has come out and put out all the negotiations. So apparently it's been agreed upon between 32 and 33% split, which to me, in my opinion, I mean, I don't really care because the fight's signed. But if I want to put my 2 cents out there, I think that's a great split. I think Joseph Parker should be very happy with that. So, it's about as good as everything. The only thing is, a lot of people are misunderstanding what he's saying. He's obviously got a rematch clause in there. So if Joseph Parker wins, the rematch is negotiated at 55-45 split to Parker. So that's out there if Joseph Parker wins. But David Higgins also mentioned that there's upsides if Joseph Parker loses, a rematch upside. That's what he mentioned. A lot of people are thinking that that means even if he loses, it ends up being an immediate rematch, which I don't think that's the case. I think what he means by upside negotiations is they will rebuild the rematch for a future bout by trying to put some Eddie Hearn heavyweight stable members like Dillian White and Tony Bellew, trying to put them in with Joseph Parker, and if he looks good against them, they can rebuild that rematch in the future. But the details is really heavy. It's all been laid out there, and it's as good as gold, man. Eddie Hearn's talking about it. Anthony Joshua says, I can't wait to take this guy's head off. He's talking too much. I mean, if the fight falls off at this stage, I'm done. I mean, I'm literally done.
You're done with life or what?
Yeah, man. I'm seriously just going to take a long break, probably not upload anything for a year. I mean, it is what it is.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Well, hopefully, the fight, it's better than Joshua fighting some mandatory that nobody wants to see him fight, so like that. What do you think of potential Wilder Ortiz fight?
Man, I'm with you. I think I've heard you say this before, man. I'm not big on Ortiz.
No, but you don't understand. He's from the Cuban School of Boxing, NBT.
Yeah, I understand all that, man. But I was very impressed with Brian Jennings' performance. That was amazing. He was able to get him out of there better than Vladimir Klitschko did. Well, actually, Vladimir Klitschko couldn't even get him out of there. It was definitely a better performance. I couldn't really tell. That's why I'm very of opponents' intentions going into the ring. So I really didn't play too heavy on the Ortiz versus Malik Scott fight, because Malik Scott was just being very negative, just there to survive, and he just did everything he can just to not engage. So I couldn't really tell that he was declining in that fight, but in the Dave Allen fight, I think I'm seeing decline there, definitely. And on top of that, not being active and having a comeback opponent where only lasted 4 or 5 minutes. I think that's also going to play a big factor in this fight. I've got Wilder, believe it or not, by decision. I think he's going to really treat this guy like he did with the first Tavern fight. I think, jab for jab, I think Wilder, I think he'll get there first. I think he'll be very wary of the southpaw stance. I see it going by decision for Deontay Wilder, and I think it's going to be a sound decision. And a lot of people might say, no, that's not possible because, Ortiz is the boxer. But feeling that's how the fight's going to play out. So,
man, Ortiz is so open for that right hand. In my opinion, I think the hook of Wilder is a little underrated as well. But I think I think he knocks him out, honestly.
Yeah,
most Ortiz. But a decision's possible, of course, especially if Ortiz goes very defensive. It's hard to knock somebody out that goes defensive. But I got Wilder winning that fight. And I did let the chat know here. We're going to be taking questions from the chat next. All right. Somebody put Shabransky. All right. First of all, NBT.
Shabransky.
What were your thoughts of Shabransky when he was like a prospect coming up? Like, were you all pumped up about Shabransky?
Yeah, man. What are you saying, bro? I was like, fuck, bro. Who is this Andre Ward guy that I've been supporting for the last decade or so? I mean, I lost a lot of respect for Andre Ward as soon as I saw that sparring footage of Shabransky dropping the brand. I mean, I was sold at that point. Like, as soon as I saw that 10-second clip, I was like, holy shit, Shabransky is the fucking truth. That's just how I felt. I don't know about you, but I think what's happening is Shabransky's naturally a 126 fighter, but because he's in the white murderer's row and everyone's ducking him, he had no choice but to move up to 175, and everyone's got their limits. That's the only reason why he's losing to Sullivan Barrera and Kovalev and all that, because he's naturally a 126 fighter. But, you know, he had no choice but to move up to 175 to make fights. So I'm still a believer of Shabransky, man. 2018 is the year for the White Murderers Row, and Shabransky is going to take over the division. So, yeah.
Red Fox says Wilder's so open for a lot. And Rascalot says Wilder's easy to hit too. Well, I'll concede that Wilder isn't this defensive wizard. But I think the margin for error for Ortiz is just a lot smaller. I think, Wilder's going to hurt him when he hits him. You have any thoughts on that, NBT?
I mean, all it really takes is just that one right hand, you know. Obviously, and Wilder will knock him clean out. I mean, it's always there, the equalizer, you know, always going to be there. The thing is, Wilder's very open, but because his opponents are very wary of that right hand, that's why they're very reluctant to let their hands go and to try to exploit those spots. Because, you know, look what happened to Spilka. I mean, he saw how open Deontay Wilder was, you know, going back into the ropes. And all of a sudden, Deontay Wilder showed that left hand and just timed that right hand beautifully. You know, showed that left, landed that right, dropped it absolutely perfect. And that's the reason why Deontay Wilder doesn't get hit to the body, because, you know, his opponents are very wary of that, you know. So going to the body of Deontay Wilder is going to be very, very risky. You know, so yeah, he definitely has defensive flaws, but is anyone going to, you know, with knowing that that right hand can be landed at any sort of angles, are you really going to take the risk and exploit those defensive holes? So, yeah, right. We have to see. I think Joshua, yeah. I was just going to say, I think Joshua is perfect for that. I think Joshua can definitely take some, you know, just because of his size and his hand speed for his size and, you know, his punching power. I think he can definitely take the risks, but not a lot of heavyweights are going to be able to do that against Deontay Wilder, you know.
Black Land Caesar Pod, did Bilal finally agree to sign for VADA? I thought Bilal already signed in VADA. That's strange. Bringing up the point that he hasn't signed to fight Barrera yet. He hasn't signed a WBA mandatory VADA testing. I'm not really, I don't know much about that. You know much about that, NBT?
Yeah, I've seen, I think, 2 videos regarding that. Talking about the Bivol VADA testing with the Barrera fight, yeah. Very suspect in my opinion. You know, but Barrera has been known to.
Is it trying to cycle off of something right now or something?
Yeah, see, you know, that's the thing though, man. VADA testing will track down on that. You know, even, you know, just looking at their rules and regulations and what they got on their ban list and not ban list. I mean, they track down on everything. You know, so even if you're cycling off, VADA, unlike USADA, actually has a lot more post-cycle treatment elements that can be detected from the testing. Off, you're going to obviously need some PCT, and VADA would actually track that down. So that's why I always say, as long as you're doing VADA testing for at least 6 weeks before the fight, there's really no way around it that you've actually were juicing if VADA was being legitimately testing you through it. So, yeah, it definitely looks suspect, but coming out of Barrera, I mean, this is a guy that's very, you know, opens his mouth a little bit too much on social media and all that. So I'd like to hear both sides of the story before I really, you know, give my opinion out there. So,
Sullivan Barrera will always have a special place in DStyle's heart.
Who's that?
Sullivan Barrera will always have a special place in my heart because he knocked out Shabransky. Oh man, I got a question for you, NBT.
I'm finally looking at the chat. So Red Fox says, has Bivol even responded yet? See, I was just gonna get to that.
Yeah.
You know, that makes it more suspect if you don't respond. You know, at least put out a statement, get your team to put out a statement. Because if I'm not mistaken, it's been, if I have to guess, it's been roughly about 36 hours since Sullivan Barrera has accused him. Bivol hasn't responded, which I'm not aware of. That looks more suspect than, you know, making a statement, you know. So I would really advise Team Bivol to come out and say something.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. There's someone that wants to ask you, though, AJ10. Will Jeff Horn be pound for pound numero uno, number 1, by January 2019?
I don't understand that you're asking the wrong guy. I've already got him number one. So,
Well, will he remain number one by 2019?
Absolutely, man. He's not losing to no former 135 pounder. Jeff Horn's a freaking cruiserweight at 147, man. He's not losing to no 130 pounder. So, after he takes off the number one spot from Terence Crawford, according to the majority of people out there, or at least top two,
right?
Crawford or Lomachenko. Once he takes that, he beats him. It has to be on everyone's list, not just mine. So that's just the way I see it.
All right. Red Fox says, I'm interested to see how Wilder takes that punch. I'm assuming talking to counter punches from Luis Ortiz, and he follows up. Well, somebody also said never sold on Wilder. Red Fox says Ortiz is a counter puncher. Wilder would have fought, and Ortiz is very good at splitting jabs and countering those right hands. You think Ortiz gives some problems?
Well, it's not a crazy statement to make. It's just the unfortunate thing is, man, with the Ortiz situation is he was actually ducked quite a bit when he was looking in form against Brian Jennings.
Yeah.
It would have been great to see him get in the ring with some better opposition after that, just to see what sort of form he's coming in with. But it's like I said, he hasn't really looked good since the Brian Jennings fight, So if the same Ortiz that comes out from the Brian Jennings fight, if that's the same Ortiz, definitely at the very least can see him giving trouble to Deontay Wilder, if not beat him. So it's possible, but I just don't think Ortiz is the same fighter he was personally against Brian Jennings. But that's not to take away nothing against Wilder. It's still his best name on the resume, same as AJ beating Klitschko. He didn't beat the same Klitschko of 5-6 years ago, but it was still the best name on his resume. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to address Rascalot222's comment here to Red Fox. What elite fighter did Wilder right hand land on? Well, it's landed on every guy he's fought. So it can't land on people he hasn't fought yet. You know what I mean? So, but he's landed it on everyone he's fought. I'll say that, right?
Yeah, correct.
You can't land it if you don't fight a guy yet. So, So that's my point on that. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate or add anything to that, NBT.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's landed on every. But that's the reason why. That's the reason why I'm backing Joshua against Wilder. I'm banking on he can't deliver that against an elite fighter like Anthony Joshua. That's what I'm banking on. But is it possible? Of course, it's possible because it's already been shown. I mean, how many up and comers, look really solid, and then all of a sudden they step up their competition, they still look solid. We can only base it on what's there right now, and what's there is, like you said, Deontay Wilder's landing it on just about everyone that he's fought. Well, actually, really everyone that he's fought, because even Stavern that lasted 12 rounds, in the first fight, ended up not surviving the first round in the second fight. So,
Right, because look, in the chat, Champ Ross says he can't wait for the Ortiz fight because it'll put more, better judgment. Someone else, Tone, is saying Ortiz is too inactive and too old. So I don't know who gets, I think some people might give Wilder credit for the win, some will not, though, I
was just going to say, a lot of people don't, because, before the original fight was supposed to be signed, apparently, Wilder would never fight him, and then all of a sudden the fight was signed. He's not really 37, he's really 43. And then he got the blood thinning medication. Oh, what kind of, 37-year-old to take blood thinning medication? He has to be at least 55. Delayed another 6 months. I mean, he's going into the ring at least 65, 70. So I don't know how much credit a lot of people, with the narrative they're pushing, I don't know how much credit they're going to give Deontay Wilder for beating Ortiz. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself this one question. Who is available out there right now at the heavyweight division you want to see Deontay Wilder fight more than Luis Ortiz? And the majority of fans out there would say Luis Ortiz. Yeah. Sorry to say, but it's the bottom line. So, you got Joshua and Parker fighting each other. I think Luis Ortiz, the majority of people would believe that he's probably the next best one after them two, Or actually, a lot of people actually believe Luis Ortiz is better than Joseph Parker. So,
I know Mr. Doc put, I think Ortiz has enough tools to beat Wilder, but once again, one is basically gambling against Father Time. So that's a pretty good comment there. Someone says that Raslat, Usyk will save the white murderous row. The white murderous row is coming back to life. NBT, you got Lipinets and Usyk, and they're reloading.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for some reason, why don't they put Jeff Horn in the white murderous row? Like, can you answer that? He doesn't qualify or something?
Well, what was that? Sorry, just missed out on that.
Jeff Horn. Like they never put him in the murderous rows. Like, well, why is that?
Yeah.
Is he too good to be in the stable or something? Or
yeah, man. Oh no, it's not that, man. It's usually the people that invent this white murderers row are just people that have fallen off as Manny Pacquiao fanboys. So unfortunately, Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao. We can't hold that ball.
I actually didn't think about that.
Yeah, he's never going to belong in that. Just because of that. So, yeah.
I got you. Yeah. But plus, he doesn't have a last name that ends with like Ski or Lev or Volev or so. It's just Horn. Like it's like one syllable, bro. You gotta have like 5 syllables in your last name to be in the murder's row. Okay, it just be Horn. Like, Horn. That doesn't sound murderous. Like moving along.
Oh gosh.
Jeff Horn, like it's just pretty basic, bro. It sounds American, to be honest. Like it sounds.
Yeah, it does. Jeff Horn, just nice and simple. It's like Jeff Smith. It's about.
Yeah, it sounds like a dude that from like Houston, Texas, like But yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, I think the murder show. I think you're required to have at least 3 syllables in your last name.
Yeah.
You fall short. He'll have to change like to Hornets or like some shit like that. Hornets or Silovitz,
Yeah, exactly right. Unfortunately, Jeff Horn won't make it, man. But that's okay. We're gonna do a little bit more than knock down Sullivan. We're gonna do a little bit more than Alexander Brand knocking down. Sorry, we're gonna do a lot more than Shabransky knocking down Alexander Brand inspiring. So. Yeah. That's our achievement with Jeff Horn. So it's okay. He doesn't need to belong in that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, Red Fox would Bill loves to say he has a needle phobia. You think that excuse will pass in 2017 or 18? I'm sorry.
Who's got a needle phobia?
Well, Red Fox saying that Bivol should say that.
Oh yeah, the Manny Pacquiao blueprint. Yeah, does he have tattoos? Hopefully he doesn't have tattoos this time.
Probably not.
Yeah, not a good look whatsoever, man. Not a good look. I'm more for VADA testing, man. That's just me. I think 10 grand, should definitely be, put into place for this sort of fight,
I have a feeling, man, that they're gonna call it Horn to the dark side, bro. Over to the white murderous row. Kind of like the Sith Lord. They're going to change his deck to Darth Hornets.
We'll take it, bro. We'll take it. We'll take anything down here. As long as we get some sort of recognition, that's cool. He's all out. He's all we got, DStyle, bro. He's all we got, man.
I got some other dudes out there, don't you? You got like Mundine and he's still lurking around. He's like a Roy Jones, isn't he? He's just still around and stuff.
If you want to know what our pound for pound list is, I'm just going to have a look at it right now. We actually got an Australian boxing site just to let you know how poor our talent is at this current moment. Right. So you've got Jeff Horn, number 1. Sucks, believe it or not, Saki Obika, number 2.
Wow.
Very, very. I don't know why he came back into the ratings like that, but anyway. Saki Obika, number 2. Lucas Brown, number 3. Number 4, Lenny Zapia. That's the guy that Sergey Lipinets knocked out before he ended up fighting Congo, or 2 fights before he fought Congo. Number 5 is freaking Blake Capriello, the guy that dropped Sergey Kovalev. Then you got a prospect in George Gambos, Zach Dunn. Number 8 is Billy Dibb, which you know.
Wow.
And then you got a couple of other prospects in Andrew Maloney and Damien Hooper. So that's our top 10 pound for pound list at the moment in Australia, just to let you know.
Wow, Mundine
What's
didn't
going
even
on
make
there.
that list.
No, he's actually lost his last 2 fights.
Oh, okay.
He got knocked out to Charles Hatley at 154. He went up to cruiserweight to fight a rematch with a local boy called Danny Green, which you'll probably know who he is. They were both well past their prime. He fought at cruiserweight, so he went from 154 all the way up to cruiserweight. I believe
I
he.
remember they fought years ago. Wasn't it like a big fight like years ago?
Yeah, that was our Mayweather Manny Pacquiao Australian version.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, and Mundine is more than Mayweather. Defensively and all that, and he just soundly outboxed him. I'm talking probably as good as Mayweather outboxed Canelo. You know, that's the sort of fight that it went down as. A lot of people agreeing to knock him out, but it didn't work out that way. He couldn't land the glove on him. So yeah, they had a rematch earlier last year in February. I believe Anthony Mundine won that, and Danny Green, unfortunately, in a 10-round fight. So. You know, coming off two losses, that's probably why he's not on the top 10 pound for pound list. So,
Rascalot says Jeff Horn is the fighter of the year.
hands down. Hands down.
In Australia, right?
No, hands down. I mean, come on, man.
Horn could say he's the best in a country and a continent. Like, who could say that?
Since you might want to consider Joseph Parker, but anyway, yeah.
Well, true.
Yeah. The thing is, though, you know, I mean, he's not getting the respect he deserved because, you know, I'm the kind of guy that goes over old posts and all that. So I like to go to the pre-fight predictions for the Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao fight every now and then, look at people's comments and the way they were talking about this guy. And I don't care if you had him winning or losing, just the comments did not match, you know, the outcome of the fight at the end of the day. You know, so, not even remotely close.
Mr. Doc just kind of, he posted this earlier, but it kind of hits your point. He put NBT, if The Rock beats AJ, he doesn't pass Jeff Horn on your pound for pound list? And it sounds like your answer would be yes, right? I mean,
no, he can't pass him. If he beats Crawford, there's no way. I would have Jeff Horn 1A and Joseph Parker 1B. That's the way I'll have it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Red Fox, true after Jennings didn't step up after. I'm not sure what that's referring to exactly. Mr. Doc responded. What was that about? Do you know?
Well, he was talking about Ortiz. He hasn't really stepped up since Jennings.
I gotcha. Not his fault, but I agree.
Now, yeah, not his fault. Definitely, no one wanted no parts of him after that fight. So not his fault, but I think that's going to play a role in the, you know, Deontay Wilder fight.
Mr. Doc seconds what you just said. He says, I don't think any heavyweights managements were lighting up Ortiz's phones after he stopped Jennings. One could argue Jennings' performance worked against Ortiz. I kind of agree with that. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's just the way, you know. See, that's look at Canelo, for example. You know, twice he went in. There was fights going on where the performances made them change their tune. If you guys remember, Canelo was rumored to be fighting the winner of Gabriel Rosado. And after Willie Monroe soundly outboxed him, all of a sudden, he's a runner, he's boring, and we don't want nothing to do with him. But supposed to fight the winner. And same thing with the Billy Joe Saunders and David Lemieux fight. You know, they were rumored to fight the winner of that. But because of Billy Joe Saunders' performances, once again, Eric Gomez, you know, the manager of Canelo Alvarez, has completely changed his tune. So unfortunately, that's the sad thing about it. You know, it's a real sad state from boxing, man. You know, is when you perform really well, instead of a fighter saying that was a good win, I want to take that, you know, shine off him. And I don't want to fight that guy, and it's sad. It's sad. Yeah, but
Well, somebody put all these fanboy UK Fight Group put all these fanboy American channels will be hurt, butthurt when Ortiz schools Deontay. Well, look, I don't get paid for this shit. I ain't gonna be hurt. Like, but like I'll be fine, bro. But I doubt it's gonna happen, to be honest with you. And Doc says he thinks Ortiz could win. So how could he not give Wilder credit if he wins? So this is not everybody.
That's exactly right. The same thing with the people in the Guillermo Rigondeaux fight. Look, there's some guys out there that were talking about, you know, the fight being a mismatch and it shouldn't happen and whatnot. You know, the people that are picking Ortiz to win or give a really good fight towards to Deontay Wilder should definitely give credit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day,
Give him some credit, shit. You know, like how can you not give him some credit? You know, like
he definitely deserves credit at the end of the day because he's in his weight class, and like I said, he's a top 5 heavyweight as he currently speaks, in my opinion. You know, so you need to, you know, if you don't want to give him credit, then start naming some fighters that you should be fighting instead of Ortiz. I mean, you know.
Now, is Parker really nicknamed The Rock? Or is it?
No, I think that's something Coach Shelton Harrison started.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Because I'm smelling what Joseph Parker is cooking. Like, it's too far.
No, it's just because of the way he kind of does look like The Rock.
Oh, okay. No. I mean, yeah, you could say that. Maybe not The Rock right now, but maybe The Rock from like, you know, early 2000s WWF. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
When you're laying to smack it down. Is he also going to spit on his glove before he hits Wilder too, or AJ? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know this, but The Rock would like hit dudes in the corner, then he would spit on his hand and then slap the dude or some shit. I don't know, but anyway, which would be bizarre, right? Let's see here. What else we got? Black Land says Ortiz definitely has the tools, but age is not on his side. Ortiz is probably older than his listed age. If you had to guess, NBT, over under, Luis Ortiz, his age, over or under? 44, over or under?
Oh, yeah, no, I got the under because I already had an age set in mind. So I had 41. So
41?
41, so that's way
I was
under.
about to say 41, but like, make it a little older. Because they're joking about him being 77 years old.
No, you're talking to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Ortiz probably doesn't even know how old he is.
Look at your comment section. Everyone's saying over.
Oh, man.
Wow. 44, huh? Yeah. There's no way he's 44. He doesn't look it, man. 7, but he doesn't look 44.
Yeah, somebody's nicknaming Horn the White Shark. And everyone in the LWBC is going to close down all their channels when the White Shark beats Crawford.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, he does need a better nickname, though. I'll say that. Well, what is it? Chef the Hornet Horn? Or what's his nickname?
Yeah, the Hornet. I mean, it rhymes with horn.
Wow, so creative. Like,
what do you want him to do, man?
I don't know, like the Australian something. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
He's like that. He's like the Ali 2.0 version.
Yeah, that's why they don't recruit him to the murderous role. He doesn't have a murderous, vibe about him.
Nah, man. You got to think of it this way, bro. Float like a butterfly, sting like a hornet. I mean, that's just cool, bro.
Gotcha.
It's cool. Yeah.
They nickname him Twinkle Toes. I don't know, something. Right?
Twinkle Toes is not going to get him in the white murderers, right, man?
All right, Red Fox expects Bud. Although we got to do something about that nickname too, to be honest. But Bud to school Horn, like his nickname is Bud, bro. Yeah. Crawford, Bud. Okay.
I didn't get it either, man.
I think it's more of a personal nickname he had, but it's I don't know if it's a ring nickname,
Mm.
Speaking of that, what's your favorite nickname of all time?
Geez, that's a good question. Hit up the chat a little bit more and let me think about it.
Right. Mr. Doc says, NBT, I'll roll with you on Lipinitsa, but ain't no way Horn beats Crawford. That's from Mr. Doc.
I'm still trying to think of a good nickname, man. Mr. Doc doesn't know what he's talking about, man.
New World Order Boxing. Oh, we got the NWO in the house. The more all those Wilder fans like Ego and 78 are making Ortiz out to be some pensioner, I guess that's the word. They are making Luis Ortiz victory over Wilder look amazing. Well, I mean, if you're an Ortiz fan and if he beats Wilder, why wouldn't you want it to be amazing?
Exactly.
Take the credit.
I just thought of a.
Come to my channel and say, "Ha DStyle, you were wrong." Like that's what you're supposed to do, right? I mean, hey.
I just thought of a really good nickname, man. I know it's a bit corny, but one of my favorites is Michael Second to None.
Oh, that's a great nickname. Yeah,
I like that one. I like it. It's a bit corny, but yeah, it's cool.
No, but it goes with the. That basically means you're the best. That's what it means.
Yeah.
You're second to nobody, and that's what boxing is about. Be number one, numero uno. All right. So he's second to none. Get it, guys? Right. No, but it's like clever. That's actually a clever nickname. It's like, you know what? Devin Alexander, the Great. Devin Alexander, the Great. I liked it.
Yeah.
Worked
out well.
I'm not sure. Like, what's nicknames? Let's see. Canelo's actually a nickname. There's people out there that think that's his name. Okay.
Yeah.
But trying to think here.
And what does El Terrible mean?
El Terrible, the terrible. Like I don't know if you've seen like there'll be like rulers that were nicknamed the Terrible.
Okay.
Like the Great, the Terrible,
Yeah.
But it's kind of like another way of saying like this amazing, like this ruthless ruler, that was willing to do some terrible things to keep power and stuff like that,
Sounds terrible, but it has to be more meaning to it.
El Terrible, Morales. It sounds better in English, to be honest. It's this is corny as hell, but I actually like Sweet Pea Whitaker.
Sweet, yeah, it is. That's a good one.
Not every nickname has to be murderous rollish. Like, like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be like Iceman Scully, the Iceman.
Fam Ollie says beefy. That's Liam Beefy Smith.
I gotcha. The Jackal is right now that's a Chacal. I think that's a great nickname. What do you think of the Matrix? Like, did that one resonate with you?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
I don't know. It sounds forced to me,
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, Hands of Stone.
Hands of Stone's weird.
You don't like it? Well, you know what though? It sounds more menacing in Spanish. It does, and that's what happens with nicknames sometimes. So Manos de Piedra, it just sounds more menacing. When you translate it, it's kind of like what do you think of Babyface Assassin? Barrera.
Yeah, no, I like that. Because he does have a baby face, man.
Yeah.
And he's an assassin.
It's a very punchable face, right?
Yeah. Like you want to age him a lot. You want to age him up a little bit. Look at him.
Now, I want to bring up this topic. I'm not sure how long we're going to stay on here, but I did want to bring this up. And I want to know what people in the chat think. Like I don't know if they do it in sports in Europe and Australia. I don't know if they do, but in the United States anyway, they retire like jersey numbers, like number 23 for the Chicago Bulls. Recently, they retired 24 and 8 for Kobe Bryant for the Lakers, and in football, they retired 16 for the 49ers, et cetera, right? They're like great players, legendary players. They get jersey numbers retired. Now in boxing, obviously they don't wear jerseys, okay, but they do have nicknames, and this is something. This is not my idea, but this is something that Teddy Atlas said years ago, and I actually thought about it, and I agree. And I rarely agree with Teddy Atlas, but in this case I do. Like the idea of retiring nicknames, like retiring the nickname Sugar and stuff like that. You think that's something that they should do?
What? That sounds no. That doesn't sound normal at all. Not doing, man.
Well, maybe it's just an American thing. I have no idea. That's why I'm asking. Like they don't retire like over there. Like they play when they play rugby, they don't retire numbers. No.
That's actually a good question, man. I've actually believe it or not, I'm actually not a rugby fan at all. So I wouldn't really know if they actually do that.
What sports do you like? Question. Aside from boxing,
they call me Triple B. There's Triple G and I'm Triple B. I like boxing number 1, basketball number 2, and believe it or not, number 3, 10-pin bowling. So yeah, those are my 3 sports.
But it doesn't start with B.
Bowling. Bowling. I needed to say 10-pin.
I thought you were going to say baseball. So like what?
No.
I just think that. Let me tell you what I mean. What I mean is, like, I think whether it's a Hall of Fame or whoever should retire a nickname, like Sugar should be retired. No fighter should be allowed to use the Sugar as a nickname, because of Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Shane Mosley. That's it. No more Sugars. Like we're out of sugar.
You need to trademark it. DStyle. That you can actually sue people for using it, because I don't know if you know this, but our boy Daniel Gill, when he came to America to fight Triple G, his nickname was Daniel the Real Deal Gill, and Evander Holyfield was actually at the event, and as soon as he heard that, he let his team know that he needs to drop announcing that name, or else he was going to sue him. So you can actually sue someone. You can trademark your nickname and sue someone for using it. So Evander Holyfield actually has the Real Deal, on contract that no one can use.
Well, the thing with copyright, though, is you would have to prove that they're using your likeness to make profit off of you, right? So I'm not sure how that would go in court, to be honest with you. I think that's a pretty slippery slope.
Yeah.
But they probably dropped it. I don't know if they did or not, but probably just out of respect, not because they felt that he would win the case. But did he drop the nickname?
Yeah, well, he came out of that fight, and the announcers wasn't allowed to say his name, so he definitely did drop it. I'm just having a see. I think he couldn't use
like nobody was going to hear that and say, "Oh my God, it's Holyfield!" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know, but you can trademark it, man, because even that I know down here, they got the word strike trademarked, and another bowling center tried to open up a shop saying Strike City. Just the word strike,
right.
but
that could give a consumer the perception that that's strike. Like, you know what I mean? Like here, there's a place called Chico's Tacos, and another place opened up one called Chuco's Tacos. Like, come on, bro. All right. Like, you're not fooling anybody. But in this case, I don't know. That would be an interesting case. I don't think Holyfield will win that case, to be honest with you. One, Gill's not even from the same country, so determining what district judge or whatever is going to oversee that case is one thing. I don't think he would win. I think if they dropped it, it was just out of respect. I don't think it was.
I think all he asked him to do is at least drop the word "the" in it, so you can't have it exactly the same way is Holyfield, because if I'm not mistaken, Holyfield is Evander the real deal Holyfield, yeah, or is it just real deal?
Also, so just drop the like really like he's that petty.
At least, yeah, at least drop one word. It can't be exactly the same as mine, you know.
I mean,
and yeah,
it's like, I mean, Thomas Hearns can't sue Ricky Hatton, like, you know what I mean, because he has the same nickname. Like Ricky Hatton used that, his Hitman Hatton, you know.
Yeah.
The Cobra Frotch, you know, the Motor City Cobra. What is Tommy Hearns gonna sue him because he used Cobra? You know, like it's just a slippery slope in my opinion. But if you could just outright just retire nicknames, you know, I mean, I don't want dudes to go to court. I'm just saying, I'm not saying retire it just because I don't want nobody else to use it. I'm just saying, like, I think cool nicknames should be like saved and locked up forever, you know. Like I don't want a random dude nicknaming himself Sweet Pea. You know, it's not because I want him to get sued. It's because I just don't want him to. I'm petty like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
You know, like, because what's stopping anyone from calling themselves whatever? You know, like what?
Yeah, I get you. It's just like, but like you said before with the Hall of Fame, and you know, it's just more money revenue, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
These events, they generate more money, and you know, it's getting too much, man.
And you know, you want to, you know, put Hornet in the Hall of Fame because, you know, what if somebody else uses that amazing nickname?
Is the Hornet will not like need to sue you or anything like that. He'll just put hands on you. So if anyone uses it, I mean, he's going to come see you. I mean, just to let everyone know. If anyone does walk around calling themselves a Hornet, I mean, it's lights out for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
only one real deal, never again, says Backland Caesar. Bring it back. Every time Eddie Hearn brings Buffer over to the UK, he pays him £250,000, and he complains when fighters ask for more money. Yeah, but that's Michael Buffer, bro. You know. Let's see. All right, man. Before we wrap this up, NBT, do you have any final thoughts or anything you wanted to ask DStyleBoxing or whatever?
No, man, it was just an absolute pleasure. Chop it up with you, man. Thanks for the invite. You know, shout out to the chat. Shout out to everyone in that chat for contributing to this stream. And yeah, looking forward to doing this in the near future, hopefully.
I'm confused here, Mr. Doc, but Boy Jones Jr. Certainly didn't work out very well. Who's Boy Jones Jr.?
I've heard of him. He's some fighter in the UK. Little guy. He's a little guy. I believe he's somewhere in the 130s or something, or 120s.
Okay.
Yeah, his name is Boy Jones Jr. But I don't think that's his nickname. I think that's what they named him as.
Boy.
You know what I mean? Same thing with Tyson Fury, his favorite fighter.
There's actually, it's a very small percentage, but there is some boys that are named Boy. You know why? Because either the mom or father never named them, so they just put Boy on the first name.
Oh, okay.
I actually know somebody like that, and they're supposed to go back and change it, but they never do. You know, so they just stay with that name. What a terrible
that happened to me. That happened to me once. I remember signing up for an email account.
Yeah.
And my first and last name was first name, surname. So, you know, because I didn't put in the details. So that's probably what happened there.
Yeah. So it's that's probably why. I don't know if he changed his name or that's the reason why, but Boy Jones Jr. I mean, there you go.
I think his parents just said it's a boy, and then they didn't know the doctors were asking what are you going to call it. They go, it's a boy, and they put it down as boy.
So ma'am, are you saying a boy? We have a boy. Like okay.
We'll put it down as boy then. Weird name, but whatever.
Yeah, because it does happen. Like mothers will be screaming like crazy throughout the whole thing, and then they either pass out or go to sleep after they give birth, and then and then they're having issues with the mother, the dad ain't around, and so it just stays like that, you know. Like in my friend's case, his dad was in prison, and the mom did not name him when he was born, you know, for whatever reason. You know, she was having like some issues. They're trying to keep her alive, actually, and she did survive. But man, I mean, he kept that name forever.
Yeah.
So there you go. They were supposed to go back and change it. They didn't, you know. So with that said, NBT, you don't understand that we're about to wrap this up in 1 minute, do you?
Yeah, we are. Great Drank says he's going to name his first son Shabransky.
Oh, jeez. Poor kid. All right. Please don't.
Hopefully he gets a knockdown inspiring, man. Hopefully he gets.
You know what? He'll be some. He'll knock down dudes. A kid in school with the last name Brand won't have shit on him. Right? What's his last name? His last name is Brannock. You'll beat him up, son. Don't worry about it.
Gosh, boy Brand. Call him Boy Brand. Jeez.
Boy Shabransky. That's Shabransky's brother. Right?
Oh gosh.
All right, guys. Well, thanks, man. We'll do some videos in the future on more specific topics, but since it was the first time, just thought we'd do like just free format and stuff. Thanks to the chat, right? Thanks to NBT, and thanks to everybody, man. Peace out. Enjoy your weekend. I know NBT's weekend's almost over, but just enjoy your weekend, guys. All right, peace.
Absolute pleasure, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Laters.